For this final piece, I sat down with Mr. Justin Slevin, a media studies teacher at my old high school, St. Patrick Catholic Secondary, and I interviewed my best friend of nearly 20 years, Brandon Yam, over the phone. And the way this piece starts off is me asking Justin Slevin what he thought of music's influence on society.
Well, it depends, because unfortunately, society isn't as savvy to what is new and what is rehashed as it used to be. So more often than not, the idea of expediency is come into fashion. Rehashing old music, resampling it, putting back into music. And what is old is new again. And the same goes with fashion. It's sort of like the old Peter Allen song. Everything old is new again. So it's this throwback. Everyone's going back to the older style songs, either it's the Bee Gees or ABBA or early Elton John stuff, and remixing it. And unfortunately, it's the identity-less generation. There's nothing really new being done. It's all recycling in a negative way.
I decided to stay with the music theme for a while, and maybe some people would consider this a cliche, but I asked his opinions on the status of hip-hop. Specifically, is hip-hop dead?
That's not necessarily dead. Like, everything gets reinvented. Sort of like, I even remember in university the idea that I was given an essay as painting dead. It's not necessarily dead. It's just re-imaged, re-envisioned. Sort of like it gets to the point where it might be done to death, but what they do is they invert it, they turn it around. If anything, it could be burnt out, but given a matter of time or maybe a generation, it'll come back. Something like disco, that's a bit different. Unfortunately, it did die. It was flogged to death. Hip hop, possibly the same way, but given in a few years, we'll see how it goes. It's too early to sort of give something the death sentence.
That's one person's perspective and point of view, and that's coming from a man who's been around the block about 13 and a half to 14 years longer than I've been. So I decided to pose the same question to my best friend Brandon, and it almost came out sounding the same, but then he turned it around and made it his own.
I wouldn't use the word hip-hop is dead, but I do believe it's a fad that is past. I mean, you hear about thug life, drugs, money, and girls. All that eventually gets a little boring, but it's a catchy tune, so it catches on and people like it.
With everything being rehashed and redone and recycled and pretty much thrown up, is there anything original anymore? Or is originality dead?
Yeah, to some degree I think it is. Very few, depends on how you look at it. I think, in terms of a lot of the media, especially like movies, I was telling a student today, which makes me mad, Hollywood is too scared to invest money in something new. So what's happening in a lot of things, whether it's music or anything, they go back to a successful formula. They don't need to spend that much money on something that's already been done successfully. Hey, let's just recover it, re-image it for something that's new. So, or what appears to be new, but it's not. The only thing that's kind of new that is coming out of Hollywood, but it's not quite new, is all the movies that are derived from comics. So it's not necessarily a new thing, but it's a successful formula just transferred to another medium.
In terms of the entertainment industry as a whole, he basically stated that Hollywood has had one formula, and it hasn't changed for many years.
Go back to what was because we can't come up with something new.
Growing up, I can pretty much say that I was a spoiled brat and a corporate shill because I pretty much got whatever I wanted, and I bought into everything that was advertised, especially what people were wearing, because, I wanted to look exactly like the people that I idolized, obviously. But I can't recall having such a distinctive nickname as what Justin had.
yeah, I used to call myself a Timberland whore. But the only reason why I did that was because, I'm not a small man, 6'6", with, EBD, exploding bum disease. So I got like a huge ass and I'm tall. So I needed, a particular type of clothing that kind of suited that sort of physique. Growing up, did I want the toys for like G.I. Joe and stuff? Yeah, I still have my G.I. Joes. Unfortunately, they're in a box in another country, so I still don't get to play with them. But, I still go down to the garage when I'm back home in Australia. It's like, oh man, I remember these are just so cool. Typical nerd that I am, I'd put them back carefully in the box. Some people might save them for my kids, but my kids aren't touching those toys. They can look at them through the box.
With gloves on, eh?
Yeah, with gloves on. In an airtight room.
Hey.
But yeah, you sort of get the Christmas trend or the new trend. You sort of get the Dora the Explorer, the SpongeBob SquarePants sort of idea. Yeah. And kids flock towards that. When I was growing up, it was like all the Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
The generation after that was the Tickle Me Elmo.
Mm-hmm.
Some people got killed for them, or the Cabbage Patch Kids. Even the Cabbage Patch Kid fell between the G.I. Joe craze or the Garfield craze, and it's not necessarily the shock of the new, but it's the trend. It's what people want, and it's to appease their little bratty kids sometimes. Not that I was a brat, but it's to shut them up.
Well, that concludes this final piece. I want to thank you for listening. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. So until next time, whenever that may be, stay classy, stay up, and do what you gotta do. This is Lee Tenebro-Dickey signing off.